Call the meeting of the fiscal court to order. We may be a minute early. I appreciate all of you coming out. It's been a rough week and things are beginning to calm down. Hopefully the temperature is going to be such today that we can get some melt and get a few more roads cleaned up. It's just got off the phone with Judge Elkins over in Callaway County and talked with Judge down in Fulton County. And everybody's running low or out of salt and just trying to make do the best they can. We've gone through, I think, 2,500 ton, Russell, of salt so far this year. Last couple of years, we didn't hardly use any, so we'll try to replenish as soon as North America Salt will let us start hauling again, but it looks like it'll be in the spring or summer. Is that what you understand,
Yes.
Russell? Before we can bid again. We did not have anybody asked to appear before the court this morning, so let's move into correspondence. I have several items. The Marion VA Clinic, along with the Marshall County Health Department and dietetic students from Murray State University, will be holding a Move Toward a Healthier You. It's a free 8-week series on nutrition and physical activity, and it'll be held at the Marshall County Health Department on Wednesdays, March the 12th through April the 30th, each Wednesday from 3 to 4:30 at the Marshall County Health Department. And you can call Kim Sprague at 866-289-3300, extension 55078. This is a combined effort with the Veterans Administration, the Marshall County Health Department, and Murray State University. We'll try to get flyers out. We're trying to get them posted all around the county. It's open to anyone. We particularly urge any veterans and their families to participate in this program. From the Marshall County Animal Shelter, from Autumn and Kip, they are proposing a new protocol for drop-off of dogs when the shelter is closed. I'm just going to read what they say. I told them I was comfortable with it. To prevent the possible spread of disease, we feel it would be best for incoming stray dogs to go straight into the quarantine kennels. We will ensure that at least 3 of the 4 quarantine runs are left open and ready at the end of business each day. Each of the animal wardens will have keys to the outer gates of the runs. We will set up a mailbox system for the transfer of paperwork. The back room of the shelter is where we keep puppies and sick or injured animals. Placing incoming unvaccinated dogs in the quarantine runs would ensure that they do not come in contact with the vulnerable puppies in this room. With puppy season beginning, we want to make sure that we're taking all necessary precautions. We also believe the system will be the most expedient and orderly for both the animal wardens and shelter staff. Mike, you looked at that. You're comfortable with that?
That's fine with us.
Yeah, okay. So if there's no objection, we'll allow them to go ahead and put their new protocol into place. I
Judge.
guess, yes.
I don't have an issue with it. It makes common sense, but my question is, when we don't have policy and procedures for anything that we do at the shelter, why would we implement kind of piecemeal policy? That's a good example of why we need policy at the shelter, but we don't even have a policy regulating the chemical that we use out there to euthanize. And like I said, that's a good reason why we need policy and procedure in general at the shelter. I mean, I think that's just a part of it.
Well, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying this is what they proposed.
Right.
And I certainly don't have a problem with it.
No,
It
I
makes
don't either.
sense.
Is there, again, though, we had talked about a committee helping them to draft policy and procedure so that they have something that looks at all the issues, including things like this. Like I said, it just seems rather piecemeal to me to have a policy on, holding dogs in quarantine areas, but we don't have a policy on, a DEA-regulated chemical. And like I said, we've had this conversation for the last year, and I know there's some opposition to a committee, but if nothing else, allow myself and Jeff and the staff to work with the animal control officers to draft common sense policy and procedure for that facility so that they're protected and the court is protected.
Well, certainly, I'll talk to Autumn and Kip when they get back. They're in training
Right.
for the next couple of days, and certainly get together with staff and Jeff, and you, and whoever, take a look at it. On this particular item, do I have a motion to adopt it, this particular procedure? They'd like to go ahead and get that started.
Make that motion, Judge.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. At our last meeting, we talked about two roads that need some attention. One needs widening and one for consideration for the county taking the road over. Jeff did a little research. I'll just read what he said. It is my understanding that Chapel Lane is already in the county road system, but the right-of-way is not wide enough for current traffic flow. In addition, right-of-way is needed. All landowners owning real estate along the right-of-way must convey to Marshall County by quitclaim deed the additional footage. The amount of footage required needs to be determined with the county road superintendent and agreed upon with the landowners, as well as determining if the additional footage will be derived equally on both sides of the road or otherwise. Once these items have been agreed to, then proper legal descriptions of the acreage being conveyed from each landowner must be supplied so that quitclaim deeds to Marshall County can be prepared, placing of record the expanded right-of-way. A surveyor can supply either a written legal description or a plat which can be incorporated into the deeds. Russell, I believe you have looked at that and determined we needed, how many feet?
40 foot total.
40
It's got
foot total.
24 now, and everything should be okay if we had 40 foot.
And I know you've been trying to reach the county surveyor. I don't think you've had any,
Hadn't had no calls back yet.
okay.
His father's in real bad.
Have you
Can
talked
we-
to those
I
people?
have, is there someone else that we can use, or are we required to use?
Well, we're not required, we just often tried to get the
Sure.
county surveyor. And if we can't reach him, I would say we just get another land surveyor to do this. I mean, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
We just thought it was proper to
Oh,
try to get the
absolutely,
county surveyor.
absolutely. I hated for a lot more work to be done without us, that they were wanting some paperwork from the court on what the court was going to do and kind of their commitment to the range, in essence, an official, record, if you will, for their records, because they're going forward with their.
Well, I'm talking about Gavin Lane right now, not the.
Oh, the gun range, I'm sorry, I thought we
Yeah,
were,
no.
they're going on the survey.
The gun range is.
They're willing to do
that's-
that.
That's another issue.
They're willing to do that. I spoke with them, and I think we're gonna see if Bud Davis, since his, commercial vehicles are kind of what's causing some of the issue, if they're gonna be willing to do that. So I've communicated with them, and I don't think there'll be any problem with it.
Okay, okay, but we do need to get a written description of the plat, so we can do that. The other one is a proper petition needs to be completed and submitted on Gavin Lane. Have they completed that yet?
Sissy, Russell, did Sissy contact you on Gavin Lane?
Yes,
Is that, she seemed to be confused, I guess, about some of the area that might need to be resurfaced, and is that still your opinion that there's some resurfacing that needs to be done?
Gavin
before-
Lane, it's like a T intersection. When you get back there, Gavin goes left and right. And she's just really interested in the county taking in what's going to the
One
left.
portion of it. Is that something that's possible, or are you recommending to the court that all of it be taken in and the repairs be made?
I feel like, the whole thing ought to be taken in if part of it's gonna be,
But before we do that, we're gonna have to have a petition to
right.
petition the court so that we can have our road viewers give an assessment as to what needs to be done.
I think that's where there's a hangup, Judge, because she's petitioning only half. She's looking at petitioning only half, so I guess we would need, Jeff, what is protocol for that? Can you
Well,
petition?
I mean, you, technically, if, you can only consider taking in what is petitioned.
So they can petition for half a road to be taken
Right,
in?
but that may be reason that you
To
not take it
deny
in, too.
Okay. Okay.
But, I mean, if, if that's where the standoff is, then we can document that and
Have them
see
submit
what
the
they're- if
petition,
they
it'll be
would
considered?
reconsider.
Okay.
The petition should show the footage that they want taken.
Right.
It should be highlighted, so it's all in the ordinance.
But we gotta have a petition before we can
Yes,
do anything
right, that
official.
would start.
That's one of the things to be complied with.
And she does have the petition. Okay. Okay. I have a letter that was given to me, I'm just gonna read it, it's rather lengthy. Or maybe you would prefer I just make you copies and give it to you. This is on a situation that we have taken up before. That is a road called Lookout Lane. And we had a petition years ago to change that to Bashir's Lane. The petition was given, there were 6 lots, Mr. Bashir's on 3. We asked him to write a letter requesting the name change to the fiscal court. Melanie provided Mr. Bashir's with a letter someone else had submitted to use as a guide, and he prepared a letter and wrote us. We called and told him at that time that road name changes or request would only be in April of odd-numbered years. And it was too late for 2007, and he would have to wait until April of 2009. So in 2009, he did that. He was told to submit a petition with the signatures of all the property owners in order to approve his request, and we gave him the petition. There were 6 lots on the street. He signed 3 times, and the other owner, if they objected to the name change, and one did. And anyway, I think you know the story. It's been going back and forth, and it now is Lookout Lane. Of course, this is the year 2014, so technically, if you stay on technicalities, we can't consider this until April next year. However, since this has gone on before, I didn't know what the court, if you wanted to take it up again or leave it until the proper time. How do you want to handle this? I mean, he made some good points that, he did what we asked him to do. Only one landowner protested. I think we did change the name, but we had the name spelled wrong. We put it Bashir Lane instead of Bashir's, is that
I
correct?
think so.
Put that up, then we took it back down, turn the name back Lookout, because of some rental property, I believe, if I'm correct in remembering that. So, what I want to ask you is, do you want to table this, let me get you copies of all this and the backup that we have on prior actions, and
Right.
because it's rather lengthy, I don't think you want me to read all of it, but I don't mind doing it, but to give you ample time, and we can take that up at the next meeting if you'd like.
Motion to table it, Judge.
All right, we have a motion by Terry to table any action, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Before y'all leave today, we'll get you copies of this, okay? Okay. Let's move into old business. You have the minutes of the February 19th fiscal court meeting, minutes of the February 4th entertainment permit public hearing on the Kentucky Lake Motor Speedway, and copies of the minutes of February 9th, which was a work session on the entertainment permit. Do I hear a motion to
Motion to
approve the minutes?
Judge.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. At the meeting of the fiscal court on February the 4th, we did hear testimony in regard to the Kentucky Lake Motor Speedway. The new owners were present, along with other members of the community. We heard comments both for and in opposition. In our background survey, Jeff, I think there was nothing found.
Yeah, I submitted a letter.
That would prohibit an entertainment permit being issued. We have two issues to take up. Number one is the issuance of the entertainment permit, and I believe they'll be doing business as, is it Cloverleaf Realty or Kentucky Lake Motor Speedway? Cloverleaf Realty, okay. And then on a separate motion,
Right.
we need to talk about setting the hours of operation. What's your pleasure on the entertainment permit for Cloverleaf Realty to operate
No,
the,
it wouldn't be closed, it's the two individuals in their name.
by James Hale? This is an application permit for James Hale and Ronald Jones, doing business as Cloverleaf Realty
Right.
LLC and Kentucky Lake Motor Speedway.
And the statute on the, persons not to be granted permits says, no permit shall be issued to a person who is not of good moral character, or who will not, in the judgment of the court, obey the laws of the state in the carrying on of the business, or within 2 years prior to the day of the filing of the application, has been convicted of maintaining a public nuisance.
And in your background, you found no such
Nothing,
violations?
nothing.
All right. What's your pleasure?
Make a motion, Judge,
We have a motion
to approve the
to
permit.
approve the permit. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Now the hours of operation, which is very important. In my judgment, and I've said this, I think we need to give them every opportunity to be successful, but at the same time, I think we have to bear in mind the peace and tranquility and of the people that live in that area. I'm sure all of you have been giving thought to this. I know some of you have even contacted other facilities, other tracks, to see what their hours of operation were. I know we did hear testimony that the Paducah, I believe it was Paducah Motor Speedway, they try to have their, and normally do, have their operations over by 11 o'clock. And in my judgment, that would be
I think one issue you need to address is, in the petition or anywhere else, have there been any request for particular days or hours?
I had a verbal request. I spoke with Mr. Jones, and he indicated that he felt 11:30.
What about days?
No, we didn't discuss days. And of course, that's just what he requested. That's not what I'm recommending. That's what he had told me verbally.
Because in my, listening to the discussions, it appears to me that you're talking about a limited days too, Friday and/or a Saturday or something like that.
In other words, you're saying weeknight racing hours may be different than weekend?
Well, I mean, are we to ask that question? Are we to tell them what nights they can run? I mean, what is
Well, I
your
think
legal
that-
opinion here?
Well, I think that you can. I mean, I think you can limit it. You're determining what's reasonable operation hours. Hours of operation are the actual hours and on what days they can operate in those hours.
Do we have someone here that will speak on behalf of the track?
Tom House, the general manager of the Speedway, we're gonna run Saturday night, that's what the plan was,
Okay.
because Paducah had Friday night.
Okay.
So just Saturdays?
Excuse me,
Just Saturday?
just Saturdays. The only time that would be different would be a special event. And due to the cost of the special events, like World of Outlaws or Lucas Oil, that's a very rare occasion. That would be a very rare occasion for more than one night at a time. But basically.
And that would be Friday night and Saturday night?
Yes, sir. That would, we can run the special events. But
And how many-
there's nothing on our schedule there is one right now, but that's debatable, what's gonna happen. But normal operation, 9/10% of the time would be on Saturday night. And that's only because Paducah has Friday night. We don't have Friday night, but we don't wanna upset Paducah. So we're gonna go ahead and take Saturday night, and that's.
So is Paducah planning to open this year?
I've heard both ways. I've heard a lot both ways. And I can't say for sure. I really don't know.
All I know is what I've read in news accounts, and it was kind of iffy.
Yeah.
If, in fact, they were gonna open this year,
Yes, sir.
I don't know.
I've heard information both ways pretty straight from people that work there. And some people that work there have contacted me about jobs, and I told them I would not talk to them at all about hiring them until they severed their relations with Paducah. I would not hire somebody away from another racetrack. But as it stands right now, if Paducah runs, we'll run Saturday night. And if things change, we would like to have Friday night. But,
Well, let's be clear here. I don't wanna be coming back here every
Yes.
few weeks and saying, now, we wanna run on Friday night.
But-
It's gonna be Saturday night, or it's gonna be a Friday night. I mean, I need to know.
Put us down for Saturday night.
Saturday night, then,
Paducah still got their sign up.
now, I understand this World of Outlaws, that's a big event. The Lucas Oil thing is a big event. But yeah, I'm assuming you have to pay a lot of money to get that event in.
Yes, sir, that's why I say it's a rare occasion, and now it's gonna be hard to get one of those races, and I'll explain why. People started setting their schedules months ago, and those people, those sanctioning bodies are much in demand. So more than likely, there's not even one gonna be there. I don't know that for a fact, but more than likely, there's not even gonna be there this year. A Lucas Oil or a World Outlaw.
Well, what I'm saying is, and I want to be very clear on this.
Yes, sir.
Don't come to me on Wednesday and say you want a special event,
Right.
because it ain't gonna happen.
Okay,
But if you know that we're gonna be able to get these things, I certainly don't want to prohibit the track from getting a class event like that in. But this court needs to know well in advance. Not like we've gone before, calling on Thursday, I need an extension, because that ain't gonna happen.
if they don't operate, they set their schedule. In fact, most of them have got their schedule set now for the year.
Yeah.
So that's why I say it's very rare. It could be a rare occasion. The only way we could get one this year probably is if another racetrack somewhere canceled or was sold, and they couldn't afford to sanction it to you. And about the sanction fee, we're talking about somewhere in the $100,000 range.
Right,
just to get
that's
them.
what I was saying, it's very
So
expensive.
it's a rare occasion that's gonna happen. So just, as it stands right now, Saturday.
Saturday night, all right?
And I'd like to thank the Marshall County Fiscal Court for giving us the opportunity to do business in Marshall County, and willing to comply with anybody, any way we can, to try to make us livable for everybody. And that's, you know, we don't, not trying to cause any problems, or, I realize it is, and I've got compassion, but thank you for giving us the opportunity to do business.
All right. All right. 1 hour of operation.
When are we gonna begin, do we know?
When is your first race scheduled?
What time of the day?
Well, the first race is scheduled for the end of March, the last week in March, but I don't, that's, you look outside, and I don't think it's gonna happen. And, to be honest with y'all, I don't think it's gonna happen. It's probably, our first race might be with, in a perfect world, the middle of April.
Yeah.
With the track. We
His
won't get
question
the
was,
box
what
numbers.
time are you gonna start your races?
What, yeah, what,
Different tracks start different times. Normally, you open the gates at like 4 o'clock to let everybody get signed in. They come in, sign in, unload. And then the activity starts somewhere around 6 or 6:30. And we want to, let me make this point clear too. This isn't something that we want to drag out all night long. Because when you figure it out, it costs somewhere in the neighborhood, by the time you figure the security, the ambulance, the fire department, the lights, and everything, and they all gotta stay on and be there until the grounds are cleared. You've gotta have emergency personnel there in case somebody gets hurt leaving the racetrack. It's somewhere in the neighborhood of $500 an hour. So, we're not wanting to stay there all night long by any means. I wanna get home from church Sunday morning. 11:30 at the most, I'd say, is we want to be gone, we want to be out of there, but as we.
So we're
start
saying
this
actual, I think what Terry's point is, actual race time, you're saying starting about 6:37?
Well, that's what they call hot laps. What the hot laps mean is the cars go on the racetrack and run a few laps to see something falls off or a car overheats, and they come in and fix it before the first heat race. So usually you're talking somewhere around 6:30 to 7 o'clock for the hot laps. The packing the racetrack, that's more noise and everything, but the track's always wet. We don't want the competitors to have to pack the racetracks like a lot of racetracks do. It's our responsibility to get the racetrack in preparation, prepare it for them. But normally, open the gates, 4 o'clock, as I say, open the gates at 4 o'clock, everybody to sign in, so we can start the program and get it over with it at a reasonable time. We, like I say, the cost to encourage is one thing. We know it's expensive to do, but we by no means want to stay there all night long.
Okay.
On Saturday night, I go to church just like everybody else does, and we want that in the community, and we don't want to drag it out.
All right.
But I thank y'all for giving us the opportunity, anybody, to do business here.
Any other questions? Bob, do you have anything?
Well, I mean, this is not just gonna be for this year, we don't do this on an annual basis, do we?
No,
This is gonna be set for their entertainment.
unless something comes up that we.
And then they would have to reapply,
I
or
mean, it could be
reapply.
modified, the hours of operation could be modified due to a change of circumstances.
Okay, I just wondered.
So if Paducah closes
But
basically.
generally,
on the
this is when you
29th.
set it and we would expect it, because,
That's what I thought.
you know, I never, in my entire life, I don't think I ever used the word variance until this first thing I started, this was going on when I took office. And it got to be where it was every Friday afternoon when the judge. Nearly.
Yep.
So, that's what I'm trying to avoid, just want firm, something that, because when the hours of operation are set, then if there is a violation, I need to know exactly what the rules say.
Okay. Yes.
What we plan on doing to start with is, most racetracks run 6 or 8 different classes of cars. What our intentions are is to start with this, and I don't know how long it will continue. I'm gonna say maybe the season, I don't know. We're just gonna run 4 classes. late model cars, open wheel cars, street stock, and the crate, late model crate cars. Instead of running 6 or 8 classes, we run 4. And until, if things progress and we see that it's necessary to run the other cars, the 4-cylinder cars, a lot of people call them Thunderbolt cars or Rusty Bolt cars, the low fastest cars where people start racing and work their way up. Instead of running that full program of 6 or 8 cars, our intention now are just to run 4 classes. So that's time-wise, we might not be there till 11 or 11:30, but running 4 classes of cars, if we can start, get the program running to get new employees used to working these days, so to get the system going. The first 2 or 3 months, it'll take a while for everybody to start working together. But by running half the classes of cars that most racetracks do, I don't think we'll be as late as what is time has been imposed.
All right. What's your thoughts on time?
I know we've had a request from Dr. Smith, 10 o'clock was his request. And the only way that I knew to poll people of my district was to go online. I did that. On average, they asked for between 11 and 12. I think 12 is definitely too late, so I'm falling somewhere around 11. I don't know how that would, if you feel like that would be.
Let me ask you this, is to set the limit now at 11:30, is that asking too much?
Yes.
I was talking to this lady over here, sir.
That's something that
11
the judge ultimately will
If we
set
could
that.
shoot at 11:30 and get through earlier, 11:30 is our limit. I mean, that, if you want to put 11:30, that's fine. And by running half the classes of cars, if this was a takeover situation, it'd be one thing, but this is a startup again, new business. I'm having to hire new people to come work together. And like I say, if you could set it at 11:30, that suits me fine, because the cost of staying open, and like I say, my wife and I go to church like everybody else does. I don't want to be 3 o'clock in the morning getting home, time to get through paying off and counting,
Well, the only thing that I would say is I want to give you every opportunity to be successful. But I'm going to give you every opportunity to be successful, but I'm not going to give you the opportunity to infringe upon the rights. And once we set the time, if you're still running, whoever's leading at that time better be the winner, or you get ready to pay a penalty, and I do mean a penalty, for every minute you're over, you're over. Now, that's bottom line as far as I'm concerned. 11:30, I don't have a problem with that, but I want you to understand at 11:30, if you're in the middle of a race, whoever's leading, you better declare him the winner, because you're gonna be paying whatever penalty that the law allows us to, and I think it's a Class A misdemeanor, Jeff?
Class B.
Class B misdemeanor.
it sounds serious.
I mean, the
And
key
it is serious, and I'm serious. I'm not going through what I've gone through before.
I mean, the key is on the, if there's a
There's been
violation,
problems there before where it was drug out.
I understand, and
But I'm just
there was
saying
no
that-
reason for it, I'll be
Right.
honest with you.
Yes, sir, that's
There was
fine.
no
But
reason for it.
I've talked to some people that work there, and the people that were running the operation then, it was kind of a lax situation, and it drug on longer than it should have.
the key would be that not necessarily the jail time, but it would be that if there is a violation, a conviction for a violation under 2 KRS 331.990, then that's automatic forfeiture of the permit.
All right. And you're saying to give you every opportunity that you're asking for 11:30 drop dead time. 11:30, you're over.
Yes, sir.
You're done. Okay?
What times are y'all thinking?
Oh, we discussed 11, I mean, I thought 11.
11's fine,
Reasonable.
whatever you say.
But I don't want to hamper them from being successful either. They need to run their business.
Let me ask you this, and I don't mean this to be sarcastic or smart or anything, but anybody that, whatever you do for a living, if you think you're gonna be through in 15 minutes and you're not, and you can't just, because you're tired or it's lunchtime, you don't just walk away. This is the same way with us. If we've got a race going on we you try to finish it, but if you set the time at 11:30, we let it be known at the drivers' meeting, 11:30 is the cutoff date, gentlemen. You go with the director of the race, when he comes on your race receiver, the race director talks directly to the drivers in the cars, and at 11:30 it's over. I'd appreciate the chance at 11:30. It's not like it's an everyday situation, once a week, and you've got to allow so many rain out, so it's not like it's a, an everyday thing. I wouldn't like it either. I wouldn't like it if it was every day that I had to listen to rap music or something. I wouldn't like it either. And like I say, we want to go home just as much as the next people do.
All right.
What elapsed time do you think it's gonna, if you start at 6:30, when do you think you'll be finished? I know it's
hard to
one day
say.
to the next, but
Condition of the
generally
racetrack,
speaking.
humidity, barometric pressure, moisture coming up in the racetrack, we have to pack it in between laps to get the cars going. All we
See,
do is work as fast as we can.
I had understood from the last time we met that perhaps in the summer months, when it's really hot and dry,
Yep.
that it may be as late as 8:30 before you can even begin. Is that true?
Not if the track's prepared right during the week. I don't know who did it last time, but if the track's prepared, you start preparing the racetrack for the next race, on Monday. You start grading and blading and packing water, and that's just diesel fuel there. Again, it's expense, but it's part of the business.
But with these four classes you're talking about, do you have an idea how long it'll take you to run those? Jeff, is there any reason, can this be amended? Can the time be amended? Can we amend the time next year if we want to?
Yes.
Okay. So how long you think it'd take you to run 4 classes?
Starting off, I don't know. I can't say for sure, because it's all new personnel. The tech people, personnel checking the motors, before they go to the racetrack, the safety people checking the cars. It's hard to say. Like I say, if y'all can go along with 11:30, if we get through at 9:30, it suits me fine, or 10 o'clock is fine, because the longer we drag it out, the longer we have to pay everybody by the hour to stay there, all the security personnel, fire department, and ambulance people, so we want to get it over as quick as anybody else does. And we thought by running the 4 classes, it would give a chance to get us going and let us see what the time would be before we added in more classes on. And we need the other classes, but if we can get by with 4, that suits us fine. The other 4 classes, the smaller classes, let me explain this. Beginners classes, let's just call it that way, the lower class cars. We need them because that brings grandmothers and grandfathers to come see their grandsons run their first race. And it puts people in the grandstand. But if we can accomplish the same thing by running 4 classes of more experienced drivers that are used to the routine and there's no lull in it and they know what to do and when to do it, it's a whole lot easier on us and we stand a chance of getting through earlier. But a shower come across, a cloud come across, moisture come up at the racetrack, you have to pack the racetrack a little bit. Whenever we run in 4 classes, chances are we can get through earlier or by 11:30. Like I say, we don't want to stay there half the night either. I worked for NASCAR since 1969, and I retired in 04. And I've been at the racetracks, well, we used to go to Daytona, I was there for a month at a time for speed weeks. But I've also been at racetracks, we were there all night long with the jet drivers going at $5 a gallon for jet fuel, trying to drive the racetracks to finish the race. Because the way the rules go, normally, 1 lap past halfway, you can call the race. If it's raining or time constraints. But if you can get 1 lap past halfway, then it's a legitimate race. Anything before that has to be held over and start again the next day. But we thought by running 4 classes, it would give everybody a break, give us a chance to get the thing over with in a hurry, and not make a scene, not make an issue out of it. We could just, and like I say, we're not trying to. I wouldn't want to live next door to an all-night affair. I wouldn't either, but I just, the racetrack's there, and what is here, and we'll just try to deal with it best we can and comply with whatever rules y'all set for us. And I would like to ask for 11:30. If we get through at 10, that suits me fine. Hurts the concession theirs, because they got hamburgers and hot dogs to feed their dogs, but we, at least we're through. Thank you.
We know this is a compromise, so Dr. Smith, if we're talking one night a week versus two, because you've been speaking on behalf of the residents for the most part, if we're talking one night instead of two, is 11:30 something you all could live with?
No, ma'am.
So it's your request that the court,
No later than 11 o'clock, and we're compromising that. We're asking for 10. And if it goes, if it goes past 11:30, we're going to seek an injunction. I'll just tell you right now. So, if you, I think we're being reasonable.
Well, you know, that is your right. To seek an injunction, go to law, court, whatever. That's every person's right. But it's our responsibility to give them every opportunity to be successful.
It's our responsibility to protect our lives.
I understand that.
I've got, by seeking an injunction, I will have opportunity to get medical doctors treating my brother who cannot leave that residence. I've got to get them before the court, and.
And I'm saying, that's,
You would do the same thing with your brother.
yeah, that's a legal option. That's what I'm saying. The
And-
option's there.
But you know,
Our role here is to set reasonable hours of operation. They've received the permit, that's been passed. Now, set the hours, that's all I'm saying.
as I understood it, we just tell you our input and.
Or whatever, I mean, if you want me to set the hours, I will, but I think it's the court's decision, but that's up to y'all.
Are y'all following?
Well, to me, it's just a tough situation because I understand the Smiths, I wouldn't want it next to my house at all.
Sure, I
But I
understand.
understand their position too. They have a right to open a business and try to be successful. And unfortunately, I guess today, we have the unfortunate opportunity to have to sit here and decide their fate. And I don't know. I don't know what is best. I wish they could be over at 10 like Mr. Smith says. I wish they could. I hope they can. I don't know that that's possible, but if I were living next to it, I'd want it to be over at 10. But that may be unreasonable. So the law says what's reasonable. I'm not sure that 10's reasonable or 11's reasonable. I'm not certain what's reasonable. But it's hard to get a grip on exactly the elapsed time of events. If we knew how long the events would last, that would certainly make it much easier. I know they vary from one week to the next. There's no question about that. But I would like to see it over as early as we possibly can, as they can. I wish they could, I wish there's somewhere we could draw a line and we could all live in, that we could be over as soon as possible, and they can be successful with their event. So, I know it's a tough decision.
Judge, can I speak again, please?
Yes, sir, but this is not a public hearing,
I know.
and we're gonna move on here, so make it brief and let's go.
That's okay.
Wait a minute, I recognize Mr. Smith.
Oh, excuse me.
Have you ever heard the statement that work expands to fit the time? My dad taught me that a long time ago. Son, work expands to fit the time. When you give someone a few hours to do a job, they'll get it done. If you give them longer time, they'll expand it right into the longer time. I'm saying, so far, the community is taking all the head here, every bit of it. Set 10:30 or no later than 11. We can all walk out of here trying to live with it. But if you set 11:30, it's gonna be 11:30 every time. I promise you it will be. And that's it.
You had something else you wanted to say?
Yes, sir.
And then we're gonna cut off discussion. I want to get an answer here. Go ahead.
The reason I'm asking for 11:30, and I understand the situation exactly. But with the facility that's there and the size of the racetrack, if that was an 8-mile track or something, I'd say, yes, we could get it done, because it's a smaller track. But being a premier facility, and it's been recognized, I've had people call me from Minnesota, Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, Florida, and Georgia. Well, glad that we're open again, want to come see the race here. They've seen races here, they want to come back and race here. If that was a small racetrack, I could tell you closer what time we could be through. And it would be less time to run the racetrack, because there's less preparation and shorter lap times. But with a facility like that, it's hard to, it's a bigger racetrack, it takes more time to run the races. That's why I'm asking, put us at 11:30 and like I say, the drivers meet, we'll tell them, hey, we've got to stop at 11:30, whoever's leaving at 11:30, that'd suit me fine. I think races come to timed events anyway, for television purposes. NASCAR races eventually be timed events. And if we could do that, 11:30 is it, because the drivers meet and tell them it costs us too much to stay over there. Whoever's leaving at 11:30, the race is over.
Okay. What do you think? It's your pleasure.
There's just so many variables, in the race.
I understand.
Too many people involved.
I understand.
The cars, it's hard to say you can do it every time in a perfect world, it doesn't work that way. I appreciate 11:30. Running 4 classes, I can see why we get me through right there on the floor.
You heard the request. What's your pleasure?
The request for 11:30?
Yes, what they've asked for. And 11:30 is it. Anybody leading at 11:30, that's the end of the race. You win, get your trophy and go.
Our last permit said no race starts after midnight, is that correct?
That is correct. And that started at 11:59, if I recall.
Well, I think it's a bit late, but it's your call.
Or y'all want me to make the
Oh,
call?
I thought you did.
No, I thought it was a fiscal court decision, but that's up to y'all. If y'all don't want to make the decision,
No,
I will.
I think 11:30 is a bit late.
I don't mind making a decision. I mean, obviously, no matter which
You're
way
not
you
gonna
go,
we're not gonna please everybody,
somebody's
that's for
gonna
sure.
be upset. And I told you that I'm in favor of 11 o'clock if it was racing both nights, Dr. Smith. That's because I thought, every weekend, you're not even gonna have an opportunity to have guests over and things like that. And so I do understand that. But if we're talking about one night, I would be more understanding of 11:30. And I've shot you straight the whole time. I've told you how I felt, and that's, it's not an easy thing to do because I represent the residents of Calvert City. And I also have to look at, this isn't people versus a racetrack, it's people versus people. It is, because the guys that came in and made an investment in our community, they're people too. So I have to look at the interests of everybody, and to me, it's a compromise to say, instead of 2 nights a week, they're only asking for 1, and it's an extra 30 minutes aside from what we talked about. And like I said, you're gonna make somebody mad, but I'm not gonna push this all off on the judge. It's my district, and I've gotta live with it, and I want you to know how I feel about it. And I wanna give,
The way Kip went up there, had people come in there, park, that noise starts, they get up and leave. I don't know how many times that's happened. So their business is running another business out.
I know, and the unfortunate thing is, and I shared with you last night, Dr. Smith, that when I polled people, by and large, over the 70 responses that I had, they said 11:30 to midnight, and that's Calvert City residents. And so,
2 miles away.
No, that's people in the city, and I shared with you some of those specific comments. So I have to represent you, I have to be your voice, but I also have to be their voice. And so I have to look at that in the totality of what it is, and that's, you can't represent everyone equally. All I can do is try to strike a compromise, and with it being one night a week, they're not asking for two. That's all I know to do, is to be somewhat agreeable to that. Where do you all stand on it?
Other than the Smiths, I haven't had any comments. I've had comments, but I've not had any that were opposed to 11 to 11:30 being reasonable hours to end the races. And these were Calvert City residents that I've spoken with.
Are we in agreement on 11:30?
As much as can
And
be,
no
I think.
race,
I mean,
no
I think
race.
we'd all
I
like
mean,
to
it
attend
ends at
earlier.
11:30, gentlemen. All right, we'll set the hours at 11:30. No racing after 11:30, not starting time, no racing after 11:30. Whoever's ahead, give them a trophy, get them out of there.
Black and white flag falls on the leader at 11:30.
That's correct.
And then.
Shut 'em down.
The lights will have to be on for everybody to know.
I'm not worried about the lights, I'm worried about the noise.
Noise, okay, okay.
Lights don't bother me, and
Right,
I don't think it'll bother
Bothers us.
the neighbors.
And then pay for it.
Yeah.
I understand, thank you.
all right.
Is there a beginning time?
I thought he said 6:30. Is that what you said? Starting time 6:30?
Sometimes.
You open up at 4, get the people in, get them registered, get them
Yes,
ready.
sir.
You run hot laps at 6:30, start your racing at 7,
Right,
7:30?
right. And the track is gonna do the packing, so that's less noise too. Normally, most racetracks require the competitors to pack the racetrack. Well, that's really the promoter's responsibility. So we're telling everybody, you know, when you come here, you don't pack the racetrack with your car and get it muddy and dirty and burn $7 a gallon gasoline. The track's prepared, you don't do the hot lapping, so that's less noise too. That's early in the evening, but it is less noise. But it's just part of the preparation.
Can we not start a little earlier to try to, is it possible to start the hot laps a little earlier just to try to ensure that, I mean, I'd hate to see you going to the minute every time because somewhere along the way that's gonna catch up to you.
It depends on how many people participate. You know, if we can open at 3, get the people, get the cars ready and get there by 3. We've got to set a time, and like I say, this being a startup, again, it's not a takeover operation, it's a startup, where the competitors come from, out of state, how far they pull, where they come to. But if we can open earlier, that would suit us, open at 3. It just costs us more money for the security people, and the ambulance people, everybody to be there. Because once people start coming through the gate, we've got to furnish, like, if somebody comes out there with 1 car to practice during the week, if he wants to come practice, we'd have to have everything there just like it was a race. Ambulance, fire, security, everything. So that's why, you know, we don't want to drag it out either. If we could, it's hard to start early without working people race. Yeah, Saturdays even, and the people that race on Paducah or Friday night come to us, well, they have to work on the cars all day Saturday, and if they get there, that's why I just said forward and start at 6:30. We could, if the schedule works out, we see the people coming in early, we can set our schedule and start earlier. That would suit me fine. So many people, and the size of the racetrack, and so many variables, so many things can go wrong, it's hard to set it right down to the minute.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right,
Judge, could
Which-
we
yeah.
request something on the course? I'd like, could we request copies of all the meetings pertaining to this decision? And could we also ask that you poll and have it in the minutes how each commissioner voted?
I think mine was pretty,
We didn't vote.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
well, the judge sets it by the
The
statute.
records can be, you can request those open records once this proceeding is over.
Okay.
Yeah, I got no problem. We had a work session, and we got minutes, and be glad to give it to you.
But we're not gonna have a polling of the commissioners?
I-
I mean, I said where I stood.
Okay, Missy says she's for it, 11:30. Bob,
I've had 11 to 11:30 is what I've been
which
told.
one do you want?
I'd say I would probably like it to be 11
Okay,
myself.
Mr. Anderson?
No, we don't want any later than 11.
We have 2 11s and 2 11:30s.
But it's
We're
not a
not
vote.
voting.
It's not a vote. The statute says that,
And I'm not opposed to it being, I'm not gonna oppose if we said 11:30. I'm just saying what my personal opinion is.
This is not a voting situation among the commissioners, Jeff?
no.
Not necessarily, it says the county judge says.
Not necessarily. I always ask for input from the court. Always have. And we'll set it at 11:30. All right, let's move on. Gun range survey. We're not having any luck
We
getting
never
to
did set a
the.
beginning time, did you?
Beginning time, 6 o'clock? Is that what you asked for?
Yes, sir, but I don't think there'd be any noise at 6 o'clock. The cars will be coming in unloading. There probably won't be any hot laps.
Well, as far as you opening the gates, I don't care.
Right, noise, I know, noise and dirt,
But no racing beginning before 6:30?
that's better.
All right,
No noise before 6:30, no noise after 11:30.
that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
What about the dust and odor?
That's another matter for another court. I guess somebody could, get environmental people on that. But I'm not an environmentalist, so I couldn't comment on that. Do you want me to go ahead or have Russell find a surveyor? Since we're having no luck getting the county surveyor on the gun range.
If that's okay with you all,
No, that's
then,
fine.
then we probably need to get that done.
Well, I'd like to get that done before spring.
I mean, the only thing, I haven't seen or heard from him, but I know that his father's in really bad health. And that may be the reason he's
Right.
not. I don't know. I don't know that.
And I want to be nice, try to use the county surveyor, but, we're not bound by that.
Right,
Did-
well, try him
didn't Mike-
again if he.
Didn't he have that done?
Mike?
Yeah, did he? Okay, he was talking about it, and I was just misunderstood him then.
Do
Well,
what?
they,
Mike, I thought he was, don't ask me his last name because I can't
Van
pronounce it.
Steenbergen.
again. Thank you. That, I was thinking he was gonna have somebody come out there and do that. And I may have misunderstood him on that, so that's,
no, I was at the last meeting and they were asking, if we had had any luck with that. And,
Okay, all right.
so if it's okay with you all, can we have someone else do that since,
Fine.
unless, maybe try to
Okay.
give the.
Russell, try him one more
Try him
time,
again,
if
and
not,
if we
get us
can't get
another
him-
land surveyor.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, the watershed issue, Jeff?
Due to the weather issues, I haven't been able to meet with Mr. Odell. I have received a phone message that he's tried to call me this morning, so I'll be following up with him after this meeting.
All right? Is there any other old business?
Oh, Judge, I'm sorry, the nuisance ordinance, I think we have an update from the sheriff.
excuse me?
A couple of the nuisance complaints that were sent out, we've received responses on those, or a lack of response.
Lack of response mostly.
So
and
that puts it in the
Also
courts.
had an issue with a little bit of a postal delay on one of them. We're gonna have to resend that out. But yeah, we've got lack of response, just to be honest with you. I'm getting a lot of my letters back and evidently
Has
they're
there-
no longer there, so.
At least one place, a lady called me and said one place, I can't remember where it was, Kevin, that you had contacted somebody and that they were cleaning up. Now, this was, I can't even remember where it was. But you had contacted somebody either by phone or maybe by letter and said that worked. They're cleaning the place up, so
Okay.
it did have an effect somewhere. I can't,
Okay.
I've slept since then, I can't remember. But,
Yeah, we,
But the problem is some of these people are just absentee owners, right? And it's hard to get a delivered letter to them.
a lot of them are coming back that, you know, because I send out registered letters that you have to sign for. I've gotten, I know at least 4 back that, you know, nobody's there,
Yeah.
that type of thing. And from what I'm understanding from, Mr. Edwards is once the attempt has been made,
We've done everything
then
we've
we've done everything we've done and we proceed on at that point. And we do. We have had one person, contact with me, and I do have a letter to that effect saying, please clean it up. We will reimburse the county's costs. So we've had at least one
Yeah.
say that they'd do that, but the rest of
Well,
them
the
is
other one
like,
voluntarily did it, and I
Yep.
can't, maybe I can look through my notes and see who it was, Cal, but they were tickled that
Right.
something got done.
At the next meeting, could we have a list of the ones that have been non-responsive?
Sure.
Because those won't go to the refuse, maybe have the photos with
yeah.
them? that you have?
Actually, the refuge board will meet before our next fiscal court meeting, will it not? Or,
Yeah, it should be
Yeah.
next Tuesday.
okay.
I think only the ones, though, that request a hearing go to them, is that correct? All the other ones come straight to the court?
Well, exactly,
Yeah.
but we still, that's who
They,
we.
they use them because they oversee the cleanup.
Exactly. I mean, the hearing is, that's when I bring to them if they have to have a hearing, but if no response within that 10-day period like we're getting, then I turn that over to them. This is the locations that need to be cleaned
Right.
up.
The only
Can they
reason
give
they're
us-
involved again is because their personnel.
I think Troy might need some, his understanding was that they're only involved if there's a dispute. That was his conversation with me, so he might need to, and whatever cost estimates, I'd be curious to know what cost estimates they come back with on some of those cleanups, if they're the ones that are gonna be handling it. Is that something you could?
That would be, yeah, whatever the refuge department, whatever it would cost
Right,
them
that's
to,
what
you
I'm
know,
saying,
manpower, fuel, equipment, whatever.
Right,
Yeah.
because everything we do would have to take to an approved landfill, which would be waste bag.
Right. Mhm.
Well, they
Right.
generally use, Russell, I mean, what
Well, the
we've
road
done-
department can help as well when we get out of the, right now, I'm too busy pushing some snow. to do anything right now.
I doubt you
Okay.
can get to any of them to clean up at this point.
All right, any other old business? Let's go into new business. Johnny Joe has given her notice at the animal shelter. She's taken another position. The staff has recommended that we hire Aaron Jones. I have met with him. He seemed like a nice young man. I asked the ladies yesterday before they left on their training session. He said he was doing a good job. So I would recommend that we put him in Johnny Joe's position. Do I have a motion?
You
There
say
at
he's
the animal
already-
shelter.
Oh, I thought you said he's already hired. Did you say? he's
Well, I
already hired?
put him out there because I needed somebody there. The girls were gonna be gone. But they recommended him. I didn't know him, but he did come in and I talked with him. Strong young man. And told him what we expected of him and keep the place clean. And he'll be working mainly weekends, is that right?
Usually.
Yeah.
My only issue with it, Judge, is that we didn't advertise that we had a position open. Again, it's, I guess, perceived as not being fair if we have a job opening and that somebody knows just gets that job. I would rather they advertise. I'm sure that they knew Johnny Joe was gonna get a job with that being Autumn's daughter. If they could have just gone through the process, even if there was somebody that kind of stood out, advertise it, interview, and then pick somebody. I just hate doing stuff like this because it makes people question, oh, well, whose friend was that, or, you know, how'd they get that job? And so, I mean, if they're already working,
Well, I had to put somebody out
Had to
there.
put somebody on temporary because they think you're.
Well, he'll be on, he'll be on temporary, you know, just like any other new hire. Till,
did
what
we
is
not?
it, 60 days?
I guess, but we
I
didn't.
mean, the girls came to me, and they
Sure.
said they needed somebody, they recommended him. Like I said, I don't know him, has never met him, seemed like a nice young man.
I don't know him. I don't have an issue at all. He's probably, if they're
But,
recommending
but
it,
he
it's
will
just-
be on probation for a period, what is it, 60 days?
something like, I think, or 90 was what Kip was on.
90, okay.
If we could just let the department heads, know, I hope I'm not speaking, just me, but if they want to hire somebody and they know there's an opening, then I think we should advertise those positions, let people apply for them. It's a bit of a process, I know, to interview everybody, but that's only fair to, everybody wants a county job, you know? So, I don't know if you all want to.
Well, I don't know the circumstance. It sounds like the judge was dumped with it at the last minute. I don't know. I think that probably the department head's place to let him know that
Exactly.
position was coming available, and maybe that didn't happen, so. And maybe it should. Maybe she should do that in the future. But I understand if he had a position where there was gonna be no one there, then he probably did have to take some kind of action to cover it. But I agree that they should let you know if someone's leaving.
And I don't have a problem getting a memo out to all department heads to that effect.
I make a motion then, I guess he's already filled out an application and has all his paperwork and everything in.
Yeah, they see already done all that.
I second, Judge.
All right, a motion and a second on the hiring of Aaron Jones, part-time help at the Marshall County Animal Shelter. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. You each have received a copy of the sheriff's audit for the year ending December 31, 2012. The good audit, I think mainly stuff we get every time in it, Kevin. The same
Same stuff.
exceptions, like us fronting the sheriff, and we get that every year, have for 40 years since I've been here. But it was a clean audit. The only thing Sheriff and I were a little concerned about, they charged us $9,000 to do the audit, and I'm shudder to think what ours is gonna cost, because there's only at Kevin's, what, 3 or 4 days?
That's
Kevin?
it, yeah. Very,
And it
very,
was with us, how
few
many
days.
weeks?
At least 3.
So, I shudder to think what ours is gonna be, Kevin. But I would entertain a motion to accept the sheriff's audit,
Make a motion.
unless you have any questions, Kevin.
No, I have none. Make a motion.
I have a motion to accept the audit of the sheriff's office. Is there a second? Motion-
Second.
Motion and
Yep, I
second.
just wondered, that first thing, I mean, they talk about the maximum debit, I mean, is that something we need to increase? or-
we have,
Okay,
we have.
okay, all right,
Because-
that's
I
fine.
thought, say, we've already done
Yeah, we
that.
have.
That's what I was,
They're just talking about,
Yeah, that's,
I understand
12.
that, that's what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, we
We've
have.
got that covered now.
yeah.
That's fine.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carried. Request from the Boy Scout camp, Russell.
They're having some White Rock donated to them, or they're gonna purchase some, and they was wondering if we could help them out by hauling it. We've helped them out before like that.
This is the Count Roy C. Manchester Boy Scout Ranch down on Jonathan Creek. We've helped them before, back in the old days, we'd grade their roads for them.
Does Jeff tell us it's okay?
It's a, public nonprofit organization, so limited involvement can be done that way.
I make a motion to assist them then, Judge.
Yeah, I'm second, I don't have any problem, Deputy.
Motion and second that we assist the Boy Scout camp by hauling rock for them.
After
the
you get the
upcoming
roads cleared
season.
out.
Yeah.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Price increase on private road signs, Russell.
Since we've been doing this for private roads, we haven't had a price increase, and I'd like to recommend that we change it from $25 to $35.
You've heard the request of Mr. York. What's your pleasure?
Is that?
It's
my
just covering their
First question
expense.
pops in my head is the signs are not all the same size, are they? Is it like a road sign?
Yes.
No other signs?
No, they're just the
Okay,
private.
just
Private road sign.
911 road
Purposes,
name
we
signs.
get requests all the time. They're the blue signs.
It's the blue
Yeah.
sign.
Yeah. Well, he said signs, I thought,
Yeah,
I didn't know, I've seen other signs that we've made that was larger, so I didn't know.
I'd make a motion that we approve the increase.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Russell and I were talking out at the road department, what was it, Tuesday, Russell?
Yeah.
We've been having problems with a couple of our salt boxes, the older ones, and we had an opportunity to trade those out. And I think Russell maybe has mentioned that to you. I told Russell to go ahead and do it. We just keep tearing up the pulleys or whatever it is
Yeah,
there.
well, we spent, last snow, we probably spent fourth of the time in the shop trying to, they've got gas engines on them. And salt, and them little gas engines just don't mix.
So, just want to make the court aware of what we've done. We're not above the bid limit, but we felt like it would be to our advantage to get those swapped out, those beds and the motors. Anything else? Russell, you got anything else?
I don't think so. We're same as out of salt. What little dab we've got on the trucks is all we've got. But I think today and tomorrow's supposed to be up above freezing, and maybe it'll, what salt we've got on the roads already will take care of it.
Well, this has been a very unusual event because you had the thin layer of ice, then you had, how many inches of sleet, Russell, on top of that?
Probably about an inch and a half, 2 inches of
Inch and a half,
sleet.
2
Close
inches
to
of
three,
sleet.
I think, places.
And then the snow on top of that, and problem is, our first run, we were just slicking it off. Because the ice, the temperature did not get so where we could get the salt to work. Today and tomorrow, we should make a lot of headway, but,
And I know that there's been places people didn't think they were getting anything done, but I mean, especially the shaded roads and places like that, I mean, we were just scooting over the top, and I've looked at them, I mean, we're running them, they're just not, it's just not coming off.
There's a lot of people don't even think we've been on the road.
I know.
But I guarantee you, every road's been over 4, 5, 6 times, and I'd like to thank all the employees out there for,
Yep.
they've done well.
Doing what they've been doing.
We've gotten a lot of calls, that turn out to be state roads. One this morning.
Yeah.
And I can't speak for the state. Bob has suggested that we ask our district engineer, Mr. Mike McGregor, to meet with us, and I talked to Judge Larry Elkins and some of the other judges. They would like to be in on the meeting, have a luncheon meeting, set a plan of action. I realized they were out of salt too. They ran out before we did. In fact, they ran out Monday, was it, Russell?
Tuesday, I think.
Tuesday. And so they, I guess, were limited as well on what they could do, but down in Fulton County, Judge Gallagher called, and they're having a real time down there near the state line. And that's on the Purchase Parkway, that's not on secondary roads, and your B and C roads. Some of them here in this county have not been touched yet.
Well, when they, you know, and we got, the material we got dumped on the roads and then turned around and it's 9 degrees that next night and 11 degrees the next night. I mean, that's just problematic. It just, the chemicals don't work, the graders don't work. You just can't move it.
Okay, any other business? Do I hear a motion to pay the bills?
Motion to pay the bills.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Any other business? None? Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Meeting adjourned.